Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Digital Thursday for the advanced session this morning. Hopefully you were able to find your way to this link. My name is Sarah Richey. I'm a technology coach with the board, and beside me here is Heather Hickey, who is also a technology coach. She's going to be answering your questions in the back channel as well as other members of our tech team. So there'll be a few ways that we're on, and I'm just going to switch over to the presentation. And hopefully you have found the link to collaborate on one of our documents so far. So just give me a minute. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about digital collaboration tools. So hopefully you've already used a few of them already, and I'm just going to go into a variation of ways to be able to use different ones. You can collaborate on the document that was provided by your principal, the document link, and just make sure to write your name first before you write the question. Therefore, we know who to answer back to and who we're talking to. You can also ask questions and connect with our tech team and other teachers using Yammer or Twitter using the hashtag DPChats. So make sure to add that to the end of your message so that we're able to find it on Twitter. And if you are wanting to use it in the search, so if you put up in the search DPChats, you should be able to follow the conversations that are happening. Don't worry too much about taking notes along the way. We will be posting the video on Office 365 under our DP chats and on the video section. So don't worry too much about it. Just try to follow along, ask the questions, and learn along with us. So as we know, the learner is changing in our classrooms, and that the skills that they need today are very much changing from what we needed a long time ago. So the idea of collaboration is not only about communicating anymore, but it's about the idea of communicating across networks, anytime, anywhere. It takes a variation of skills, and it's not just one. So if you look at everything that's around this learner, the idea to be able to think critically, to be curious, to have empathy for others, all of these things work together when it comes to collaboration. It does not just stand alone on its own. I wanted to give you a little picture of what it means to be an active learner today as well. But before I do that, I just wanted to take a slight look at the idea of Catholic graduate expectations, and the idea that with every learner, we are learning that it is not only, it embodies them, that we are now collaborative contributors, we are effective communicators, and it's something that we show within our values and our attitudes and our actions. So this is, as we're teaching our students, it's very much embodied of who we wish them to be. It's a part of their life and who they are.
But I will not always sit in your classroom. I will not take out a pencil or open a textbook. You grew up with books. I read from a laptop, an iPad, a smartphone. I use a keyboard more than a pen. I am a digital native, an active learner. Why carry just a textbook when my iPad connects me to the world? I want to know things all the time and right away. Maybe the best price for cool shoes or where to hike the Himalayas. To learn, I look online because the classroom isn't enough for me. Not when I can see faces, hear voices, and chat with people on the other side of the world. I want to learn about Chinese history from someone in Beijing. My school has to keep up with me, not the other way around. I have more and more choices. When you were my age, no one had heard of a charter school. No one could imagine a virtual school. But it's projected that by 2019, half of all high school courses will take place online. I use mobile devices to connect with friends, classmates, and teachers. And when I'm more connected, I'm more interested. I don't buy music at a store, or movies or books. I get them instantly online. And when they excite me, I share with friends. That's how I want my education to be. I need a degree even more than my parents. I know it, and so do my friends. But will I be prepared? Public grade schools are under huge budget pressures, and traditional college is increasingly unaffordable. I don't want crushing debt. If I can Google the best choice for cool shoes, rest assured I'll find the best choice of education, like 2-year institutions and online courses where students like me have grown to be 6 million strong. And when I'm older, I want to keep learning. Do you recognize me? Very soon, I will be changing the world. But I need you. If you're ready to help me, I'll find you. But it's your challenge to keep up with me. I'm a digital native, an active learner. Listen to me. Help me. Together, we can create the future.
So I think we're beginning to understand at this point that what they're needing for the workforce and the skills that they need are changing. And the idea of collaboration is going to be in a skill that they're going to need to embody as they move on into post-secondary or into the workforce. When we think about using collaboration skills, they already have some that are already taught face-to-face in class. So it's not that they're really changing what they're doing with it when they're collaborating, but they're just changing the tool and which they're using to collaborate. We're offering them a chance to enhance the collaboration by providing multimedia like videos and pictures and hyperlinks so that they can extend their conversations and extend how they're working together with tools. So always having a purpose for what they're doing is very important. One tool that is really great to use in collaboration and building the idea is Mindomo. And within this, they're creating mind maps. So in the mind map, as we know, you can identify and organize concepts. They're able to visualize their main concepts and make connections. They're able to develop clear pictures of their goals and decide on the actions that they need to make. But the good thing about Mindomo is that they're actually able to do this together, and they're able to collaborate with a group and make connections together. In this little video here, Claudio, our secondary math consultant, has put together a little session on how to set up an account and what it looks like to collaborate within the platform of Mindomo.
Tool that you can download a computer desktop version for both Mac and PC. You can also download the Android or iOS version of the app as well, and Linux. And it's free for educators in Ontario. And the website you would go to is at the top, mindomo.com. So that's the website which gives you access to the mind mapping. So you can sign up. As you sign up, if you type in your board.peel email domain, it'll recognize that as you as an educator, and it gives you the free service both on the desktop or on a browser. I'm going to run Mindomo from a browser. That's what's nice about this tool. It's perfect for bring your own device. Students can run this with any browser that they choose, or they can run it using any computer or any device. So I'm going to log in. And notice I'm using my Duffer Peel account. So I'm going to create a mind map that's going to deal with the conditions for creating a rich task. So we're going to click on the create. So as soon as you log in, you go to create. It gives you different options for a different mind map. One I'm going to use is the first one, a blank mind map. And you can just explore with the other features. So I'm going to call it a rich task mind map. We're going to create. Now, if you're creating this for yourself and to share with your class just as a standalone static mind map, the central idea is right in the middle. And I can move that central idea across the screen. But now if I want to add another branch, I just click on the top right arrow with the mouse, insert subtopic, and I type in my central idea. So I will put multiple entry points. That's one of the conditions for creating a rich task. But the powerful feature of Mindomo is it allows you to share this mind map for an entire class or for a team. So if you want to have multiple students interacting at the same time in real time, it allows you to do so. So how am I going to share this with my entire class so we can brainstorm together? So I'm going to click on the share button. And there's a little checkbox there at the top. It says allow guest editing. So I'm going to click that, select that. And at the bottom, it says link for editing this map. And that's what we're going to click. As soon as I click this link, it's actually going to give me a URL that allows students to edit it. The problem with this URL is it's very lengthy, and students, teachers will not remember that. So I'm just copying it, Control C, and I'm going to use, and I'm going to click on Done. I'm going to use a feature called bit.do. It's a URL shortener service. And link to shorten, I'm going to paste the long URL into the link to shorten, and I'm going to now choose. What's nice about bit.do, it allows you to customize your URL. So I'm going to call it, I think there's one called Rich Task, so I'm going to call it Task Rich. And let's see if that's available. I click on number 3, shorten, and it looks like the URL is available. If it wasn't available, I would receive an error. So that's the website I would give to students. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to pop open an iPad screen. So on there, you're going to see students interacting. So here's my iPad. And you're going to see the website of my teacher mind map right underneath is where I'm circling. So on the iPad, I'm going to go to Safari, and I'm going to type in the URL that contains the editable mind map, bit.do / and I use it opposite task rich. And if everything goes well, it should open the My Normal mind map. And now you're presented with the following screen. It's going to ask you for a username or an email, and it's just for students. So when they're typing, you're going to have you will get to see who's actually editing that mind map in real time. So I'm going to type in a username in the username field. So I'm going to type in my name, and I'm going to click on login. If everything goes well, next screen pops up. You can open this. The iOS Android has its own native app, but we're not going to use it. What I'm finding that works best is collaborating through the browser version. So that's what I'm going to click, continue with the browser version. So I tap that, and hopefully if all goes well, you're going to see now the students' mind map, which they're at, which I can edit, and the teacher, which I'm displaying. I can even have another device doing the same thing as well. But how do students now enter it? So now notice I do the same thing with my finger. I tap the top right arrow, and I'm going to add another subtopic. In my next subtopic, I will type in open-ended question. So the rich task is open-ended. So now it might take some time, but notice it's updating in real time. So a teacher now can also enter a subtopic. They're going to type in real world problems. And now my mind map on the student iPad should also change in real time. And as a student, I can change it. I can move the position around, and now I can continue to add subtopics. Another subtopic is, we'll say it allows for collaboration. And I can add multiple subtopics, and I can have multiple students interacting with this mind map. So, and I can add subtopics to subtopics. How do I enter? How do I create something that has multiple entry points? I can continue to type in topics. So we'll call it topic 1, topic 2, topic 3. But now notice it's all updating in real time. So you can have an entire class, or if you set your class up in teams, groups of 3, groups of 4, they all get themselves a device, a mobile device, and now they can brainstorm together as a big group. You can break your topics into team 1, team 2, team 3, and team 1 gives all their ideas, team 2 gives their all ideas, and so forth. So this is My Normal in a nutshell, and it is a great way to allow collaboration, and it is a great way to brainstorm.
So as you can see, as Claudio's gone over with you, you can see that it is a really great way to brainstorm as a group. It's also a good way to review concepts and organize ideas and help them understand what you're teaching and building something together. One of the next ones, I know many of you have already been in this and designed in here, so we're just going to look at some examples of class notebook today. And there's a few different ways that you can collaborate and build. One of them being in the collaboration space, and the other one being in the student notebooks. So I'm going to show you what that looks like, and I'm going to come out and show a couple of examples. So here you can see my notebook, and this is my notebook that is offline. And I can see up here, if we already know this space, that we have my collaboration space, the content, and there's a couple of students within here. So the first one I'm going to take a look at is the collaboration space. So I'm going to click into here. And you're going to see a few examples. So basically on the side here, I've designed different ways for the students to collaborate and go into it, depending on what they're doing in class. One you see here is that they're actually building a little mind map together. So I've put in a graphic organizer, and for them, I've left it blank. This is just an example, but I would leave it blank, and I would go in and I would ask them to go and create it and add to it and build to it. So that might be one way that you are getting them to come in and go into a collaboration space. Another good way is having them build criteria for either an assessment or participation as part of the grade. So basically saying how much they think it should be worth, what they think they should have to complete, or what they think that they need to have done in order to it to be at its top level of assessment. So it's that idea that they're coming in, possibly here you're seeing that it's done as groups. So, you know, group Batman, group Superman, and they're coming in and they're building it together and they're working as a group in order to find their own learning and their own expectations. So they're having a voice and taking ownership within this collaboration space for your course. Another little bit, depending on what you teach and what you're doing, is that idea of circle of voices. So they can come in, and basically what I've done here is put different quotes. And depending on how many students I might have in my class, I might say that they could answer various ones, like more than one could have an answer under. But here I've asked that they choose one and write a reflection under. And I would have the same amount of quotes for the students in my class, and they would go in, choose one, and you could bring that blended, right? You could flip that and bring that back in and have that discussion and choose some of the ideas in the class. So depending on what you're doing, maybe even if it's history, you can focus on different quotes that person said, and then you can have a discussion on their thoughts and ideas behind it. Another great one is current events. So they're taking newspaper clippings or magazine clippings and throwing them in here. So copying them and then bringing them into the collaboration space. So collaboration spaces can be something that they work on, add to, and then you bring into the teaching within the classroom. Analyzing case studies, all depending on what you're doing. You'd have a case study in there for them to discuss, give feedback on. Maybe they're generating questions or making strategies for solutions or reviewing class material. These are all good reasons to build a collaboration space. It is something that you need to build on your own. It comes as a shell, and you need to decide what that looks like and facilitate it as the teacher. And obviously the students themselves, they're still learning to collaborate and talk to one another and respect one another. So it's also engaging and showing them how to talk and how to learn and self-regulate themselves within this type of atmosphere. Another way that we can collaborate is within the student notebook. So when you're thinking that collaboration doesn't always have to be student to student, it can also be student to teacher, right? So another way of looking at it, and I'm just going to flip out here, and I'm going to go into one of the notebooks. So in my content library, what I've done is I've given them an assignment and I've given them a rubric. So if we see here, we're looking and the student has started the assignment, not finished it as of yet, but I can see that he has began it. He's began to write. I can see that I've highlighted some stuff. the teacher's been given feedback over here on the side, and also use the rubric at this point to highlight where they may be at and what how they are performing on the assignment along the way. So this is something I may do as they're building it before they get to that final product idea. So that formative assessment along the way, I'll collaborate with the students and give feedback and by providing it. And for this, when they're at secondary, they're old enough in order to take the rubric and copy it over and put it in. But you can also choose to put that inside of their notebooks as well. So I'm just going to come back to the presentation. And I was also showing here that idea of talking about the notebooks. So the one good thing about it is that when the students have their notebooks, you can access the students' work at all times. So you're able to see in real time what they're doing in class or in homework. So you're able to see and collaborate and give feedback. So you have the flexibility then to provide different types of feedback, whether it be face-to-face or online, and collaborate with the students in different ways. So students no longer have to show their device or email to work. They can just work on OneNote, and they can collaborate with the teachers or with their students at any time, anywhere, and from any device. And we can see how this can really work into their time and their own learning styles and really build to where they are as a learner at this stage. Another great tool for collaboration is Google Forms. So with Google Forms, there's many different things. So you can create free online surveys, quizzes, questionnaires, registration forms, data collection tools. So a lot of different things you can do. But when we try to look at it as a collaboration tool, we want to know what that looks like. What does that mean to collaborate on Google Forms? So we're going to be collecting some sort of data, having the students analyze, share with one another. So I'm going to go into that and show you a little bit about what that looks like when we are doing that. Yeah, I'm going to go and just, when we take a look here and you take a look at this page, you can see the picture down in the bottom right, and it's showing you about science experiments. And it's showing you that students can, if you're working on an experiment or you're working on a task, they can input their information into the survey itself. And this is going to one collection space where you can see what all the students are thinking. But when they're working in groups, they have a place to go and input information and send it along to you. Another way is being able to embed videos or embed pictures and being able to create guided lessons. So if you're guiding them through something, they're working within groups, you can be able to guide them by posting a video and then having questions below. And as groups, they can go and work together and answer it in that way. Depending on the questions that you do build and ask, it's a great way to check for understanding by asking reflective questions or just key simple concepts to see whether or not the groups are understanding or working together along the way. So I'm just going to pull out and I'm going to come back to the Google Forms. Just let me find it for you. So here you can see I have a variation of different types of forms. And one simple one, when I go into it, is an icebreaker group task. So here you can see that I've designed this specifically for the group. I've asked them a question. So I'm thinking I want to build how they're working together. So I've asked them, if they're in a certain situation, what does this look like and what they would do? And I'm asking that they really come to consensus and agree before making that answer and putting it down. Here you can also see that I've embedded a video. So I just wanted to show you how that looks and what that may be. So I've embedded the video in here and they can play it. And it's talking about oversharing and why do you think you need to think before you post. So it's a simple idea, bringing in the digital citizenship and responding as a group and thinking things together. So instead of having them just sitting there discussing or writing it down, it is now put into the system and sent to you. So a great way to build that group atmosphere together and a different way of collecting the data as a teacher yourself, right? So when you see it here, you're going to see what it looks like. If you haven't been on Google Forms before, you just get an idea. And you do need a Gmail in order to create this. However, the students do not need a Gmail. They would just need the link that you provide them. You send the link. So if they don't necessarily need that, it's as simple as adding an item. And down here you can see you can have paragraph text. So if you're thinking of them answering, you know, they're working on a lab and putting in their procedures, or they're working on a task and an application in math, you can have them have paragraph text, multiple choice. Maybe they're choosing from a scale, so they have to know the right level that they're going to. Tick boxes, so that's check boxes, so they can check as many that apply. So there's many different ways that you can build this type of form. It's really individualized to the purpose that you need it for. If I go back, I just want to show you slightly what it looks like when I look over the answers as a teacher. So when I look, I see here that I have a session set up. I'm asking questions. I have multiple choice. I have being able to check the boxes. I have my paragraph text. I want them to answer something in detail to what they're thinking. And I wait for them to answer. I can see how many responses are in here. When I go into responses, and I want to see the summary of responses. So I go into there. Here you can see what that looks like. So when we're going into there, I can see what they've answered. I can understand a census of my questions of how many percent chose a certain answer. And you can see that it's set up in graphs. So you get an idea right away of what your class is thinking, the information is coming in, and you're able to go back and pull out each student's responses and be able to just look at that student themselves and see what they were thinking, or that group, depending on what it is that you are using the tool for. When we're looking at Google Forms, we're looking at the ideas of, you know, possibly conducting an experiment together and entering their data in there. Maybe possibly they're even giving peer reviews. So that one idea that if you're looking here, and I'm just going to flip out and show you slightly what that may look like. All right. So you can see here that they're putting in their name, their partner's name, and you can see here that they have a scale, right, of what they think, how well they did. So when we're collaborating, we're using it for different purposes. Now they're giving critique, they're talking a bit how each other are working within the group. Some good ways to be able to take a look at how we might use the survey format of it. When thinking about collaborating as a teacher, we do not only collaborate, though, with student to student. So another way of collaborating is that idea of having something for parents. So this survey itself is having a parent IEP input, so what they think, and sending it so that as a teacher, if you're developing that aspect of it, you could really get a sense of what the parent thinks and where you think the parent knows their child the best, right? So they're able to give a little bit more into who that child is and what they're like. And you can imagine that when you're having parent engagement, you can also do this for many different reasons, that you're trying to reach out to the parent community and engage them. But we're reaching out across networks now, not just that one idea. And you're reaching out to the community, and it's a good idea sometimes to collaborate in different ways with them. So as I was saying, when we're talking about reaching out and making global connections, I want you to think of also being able to use the network in order to share documents, maybe not only just for the students in your class, but finding ways to reach out maybe to other classrooms, maybe to other schools, even maybe to other countries. So now you're building your networks and you're collaborating and trying to use the tools that we have to reach out, whether the students are building a survey or Google Forms, or they're sharing something in some way. Making sure that when we make our connections, that we make it relevant. When they're collaborating on a topic, it has to be something that's that's purposeful, that's connected to the learning that they're going to be able to understand. Letting kids own what they do and listening to student ideas is really important in building the collaboration and voice for your students. So helping them being able to connect to what they're doing. So being able to build their own group tasks. And just like when we were looking at the notebook, able to build their assessments from there. And definitely do not be put off by obstacles. When you are collaborating, you're going to come to some road barriers. Make sure to ask for help and accept that there will be times that things don't work. Sometimes with technology, you do need a plan B. So be patient and persistent and don't give up. Think big. Now that we do have technology and we are able to collaborate, learning doesn't have to be confined to the classroom. They can begin to collaborate within the notebooks in the class, outside of the class, find other connections, even bringing in webinars, learning from people who are masters of the subject can really add to the learning. So invite people or classrooms around the world to collaborate with you on a global project.
Collaboration for students is a really important skill to have. It's listed as one of the 21st century skills. So it's important for kids to learn as young as elementary school and through middle and high school so that they are prepared to do the kind of collaboration we expect of them in college and in career.
Online collaboration has changed the way that I run my classroom. It has truly engaged my students in the learning process. Instead of just using paper and pencil, now they're sharing and creating and critically thinking online with the world. A lot of times I'll notice that some of my students are very shy and afraid to participate in class. Our students who once sat in the back of the room and didn't want to speak up or be part of the lesson now are excited to get online and share what they're learning. They want to teach others and they feel like their voice matters.
In the real world, we're always collaborating. And I think it's very important to start collaboration early.
And being online for them is second nature. So if you can bring that into the classroom, they feel at home. They want to use technology in their home environment and they want it to blend into the classrooms.
We're getting more into the project-based learning and everything is building on technology.
Online collaboration, it requires no more class planning than the traditional pencil paper. You just have to think of it in a completely new way and be open to let the students go where they want to go.
When students are able to give each other feedback, that shows that they truly understand the content. Online collaboration has flattened the four walls of our classroom. We have connected with educators and students all over the world. We are learning together, we're creating together. We use what's called Blackboard Collaborate.
I use a lot of Blackboard Collaborate with the Illuminate sessions where I go live with them.
And so they access this website and they're able to ask questions, participate in the session by raising their hand, responding to other students' questions. KidBlog has allowed peer feedback to soar in my classroom environment. Students are getting online and they are giving positive and constructive criticism to their peers with their writing.
We have to be open as educators to be the ones to let them bring that into the classroom because they will shock us. They will surprise us. They will make us better by their creativity and their understanding.
We go from teacher to facilitator and the students take over.
Technology moves too fast, too far for us to be the experts.
And kids, they've been around technology their whole lives, so they know, I'll admit it, they know more than me.
So I think it's important to understand that we're beginning to change, the students are beginning to change, our mindsets and how we see learning is shifting. And we can see that the students are really beginning to be motivated by being able to collaborate online. And we may use different tools here in Duff and Peel. You're hearing different words, but some of the things that we are on, and they're talking about the Blackboard, that's the idea of the D2L, the blended learning within there, and then working on collaborating within the notebook and using different tools online. So it's really that idea. It's always the purpose and what you feel comfortable for. You might not know the tool that they're talking about, but think about the tools that you're using. And I'm going to flip out, and you may have seen this, but I just want to review it because it is a great tool to use. I'm going to show you Padlet, and you may have seen this already. I'm just going to show you if I can find it somewhere in. Oh, here we go. So here you can see that this is basically a whiteboard, an interactive whiteboard that is web-based, and Padlet is a virtual board, virtual wall the students can post on. So the teacher sets up a purpose and chooses what that may look like. And here you can see we're designing here. I think it's a math workshop that we're working through, and we're talking about car curling. So the teacher here has asked a question, and the students have looked at a video and have began to answer some questions based on it. And you can see that when thinking about collaborating, whether you're doing the minds-on or doing review or trying to understand a concept, this is a great place. You can either use it in a moment. So the idea of the tool, it doesn't have to be something that's used the entire time. Maybe you're just using it for 10 minutes of your class in the beginning, a minds-on, they're settling in. Maybe they're adding to it throughout the activity, throughout your class, and then you're going back and looking at it at the end and discussing what they have. So there is some great things to it. And if you don't know this, I'm just going to show you quickly how to modify the Padlet. When taking a look at it, we have our basic info. So you can see the title, and the title is up here. You can see these little pictures here are adding to the icon. So you just personalizes it a little bit. You can add the description of what it is they're doing. The wallpaper in the back, you can choose whether you just want it to be plain paper, right? To move it around, whatever it is that you're focusing on or whatever it may be. The layout. Now the layout is definitely interesting because you can, depending on what you're doing and what the background is, you can add it in as a grid, stream it down one after the other, or in a free form, meaning that if you have some sort of organizer or something that you're working within, you can move it, or if you're trying to categorize things together, you can move it into different spaces. The students actually can't do this. The teacher themselves will need to be able to coordinate and to put this together and move it. The teacher also can modify, change, delete anything that may be up there that if they feel so. So they have the capability of really designing this. The students can only, when they're up here, be able to click on the board. So here I've just double tapped, and I'm able to go in and to write something. And down here, I can choose whether or not I want to add an attachment, a picture, a video, a little voice clip. So there's a couple of things that they can do. And you can see here again, when we're talking about digital collaboration, we're using it to enhance their learning for a reason. So why is it that we're using the tool, and how is it extending or enhancing their learning? And then once it's done, you can just push it off and it goes up into the board. So you just double click off of it. And the student themselves can edit theirs, but can't go into others and change what they're saying, which is great because sometimes that can happen as well. So I think as we're moving into going towards the end a little bit, I want to start thinking about advice and guidelines. I know that you guys are already in and collaborating and using some of these tools and just finding your way and purpose for how to embed them into the learning. As I said before, it's really important to expect problems. Expect that things won't always go well. Expect that sometimes Wi-Fi might not be working and they can't get on and things have to switch around. Or maybe expect that students really don't know how to collaborate yet and still need the skills taught on what that looks like. So there's some things that still may kind of get in the way, but be okay with that and know that that's learning in itself. I think at the end, sometimes when you are making collaboration a big part of your learning, it's requiring that idea of reflection papers. At the end of the semester, have them talk about that learning and what that meant and how they were successful or challenged. And that's an important learning moment for the students themselves. Another idea when you are doing collaboration, and we talked about that idea of the students not really knowing how to collaborate or not having all the skills quite there yet. They were still along the way learning. Providing examples or testimonials from prior groups or what it may be, or, so testimonials meaning like, here's how you can succeed, here's how to be successful, or here's what to remember. So it's those little things that may help along the way as you're embedding digital collaboration into your classroom. Remember to provide instructions to the web and tasks structured for online groups. So if they're working on notebook or whatnot, have instructions for them to go back and look at and read and remember. Because sometimes just saying it or having the voice interactions, just audio isn't enough for them. They need to go back and look at it. With Padlet and things, it's fine. With Google Forms, it leads them along the way. But with Notebook especially, they really need the instructions and the task at hand to go back and continue collaborating with what they're doing. Consider making a group grade or a small part of the overall grade. So that idea of participating and collaborating, if you are building in quite a bit, then it is a skill they are using and they are beginning to, they should be, it's a skill that you're looking at in order to succeed well within your class, that they are able to collaborate and effectively communicate. Always remember, just as you would with any task, in class, if you're doing something online, predefine the grading scheme. Make sure you let them know what that assignment is and the marks and what they should be expected to complete or understand by the end of the activity. I have a bit of time, so I'm just going to go back and I'm going to show you this resource, actually, OSAPAC, and I'm not sure if you've seen it or not at this point, but I want you to think of when we are going online and the students are beginning to collaborate. A lot of the time we think about safety or being respectful or cyberbullying, right? It's that that's the ideas that kind of been discussed and everyone really understands when we look at the idea of the internet. But when we think of digital citizenship, we think of the students now building that idea of a footprint. So their digital footprint. When they go into the work world now, the people that they are sending their resumes out to and the people that are hiring them are going to be Googling them. They're going to look and they're going to look for their digital footprint. What is on the web about them at this point? And is it something that they look for in their employee? Or if there's nothing there, why is there nothing there? Why do they not know? Sorry, excuse me. Why do they not have a presence online at this point? So it's so important for the students to understand now today that they need to build a positive presence online and understand what that looks like, how to communicate, how to talk to one another, and remember that what they're posting out there is not disappearing, that it's saved, it's on a server, and it's out there for the world, and it's developing a sense of who they are. Protecting themselves and the idea of building the passwords and talking to them about that, but also because they're so involved with their devices and their digital life, teaching them that the health idea behind it, that balance. How do they balance their lives between their devices and face-to-face, just living life? How do they move beyond that? So having that discussion and teaching them that. As they move into the world of research and information, they're faced with the idea of creation and credit. That idea of crediting what they see and understanding that now they're using other people's work and how to express what that looks like, as well as understanding that they're creating. So they're able to get copyrights and things within their own work. Finally, when you think of critical thinking, I want you to think of the idea that they need to understand what they're seeing, being able to evaluate what's online, choosing the best resources, thinking through how they act and how they behave. And really, when we think of this whole idea, we're thinking digital citizenship is more than just how we behave. It's who we are, what we do, how we balance our life, and how we think things through. Okay. I'm just going to head back to you. Find you somewhere. I will. There you are. Okay. So hopefully we didn't go too fast and you were able to learn a little bit and we were able to add on to the knowledge that you already know. At the end of our session today, if you wouldn't mind going back to where you found the link to get in here and go into the Google Forms just to answer a quick exit ticket so we know how today went or how we can improve it. That would be really helpful. Remember, again, the videos are posted up and that on our Tech Tuesdays, we're going to be reviewing some of the stuff that we talk through on Digital Thursdays. So if you feel you want to come back, we run our sessions on Tuesdays as well. And it'd be great to see you join us then. Thank you so much for coming today, and hopefully I see you next month.